Do you ever wonder why people question your authority? You ever wonder why people just simply don't believe what you're saying? Do you ever wonder why you are not being believed, really? And some of it is because you have a wide gap between what you say and what you do. What you say and what you do. So we want to close that gap. We want to narrow that gap because that will allow people to trust you more. And when people trust you more, then your credibility goes up and you are accepted. And then, oh, by the way, when you show up, people are excited about seeing you. My name is Angela M. Odom. I'm the host of the Better You Leadership Podcast, the founder of the Better You Project. And today we are talking about um, the gap between what you say and what you do. And so that's what we're going to do today. So sometimes you're wondering, like, I'm showing up, I'm putting in the work, I'm trying very hard, and I'm sacrificing my family time, and yet my team members don't trust me. And I'm going to tell you that I definitely believe it's because of what you say and what you do don't match up. They're not aligned, right? And so that's what I want to talk to you about today on the Better You Leadership Podcast. This is an ongoing journey to become better leaders. That's what we're doing. Ultimately, when you put some of these tips, these techniques, these tactics in place, you're going to build your skills and your leadership capability. This podcast will teach women the nuances of personal development with the intent of earning more respect and earning more revenue. So each week, I'm offering insights to help you on this journey to become a more trusted leader. So, and I want you to know that everyone leads, and it's your time. It's your time to lead. So, my goodness gracious, I was thinking about this, and we all tell occasional lies. Yes, sweetie, there's definitely a Santa Claus. So let's get this tree together. Those types of things. Stretch the truth. We might say it really was the biggest fish I ever caught, right? We're stretching the truth. It probably was a minnow. And, we sometimes conveniently forget facts. Oh, I didn't realize that was the last slice of pizza. Oh, it's gone. And so otherwise there, while we are occasionally telling little lies, what we think is not really detrimental to our relationships. We might be stretching the truth. We might be conveniently forgetting facts. And all the while, we are creating hairline fractures in trust. So we're not thinking about that in a moment. That's rarely our concern. The danger is entering into relationships with people who see trust as something they can use to manipulate the truth, to serve their own purposes without regard for the impact it has on others. That's the danger. So there's 5 ways to know if people are trustworthy. You want to know, right? There's probably more, but I'm going to give you 5, right? They lie to themselves, right? They lie to themselves, and then the other thing is they project behaviors on you that are clearly not ones you are exhibiting, right? They're projecting, and they breach confidentiality. They breach confidentiality, right? They show a lack of empathy, and their emotional state is volatile, and they have a pattern of inconsistency and fickleness in their decisions. You ever been around somebody who is inconsistent in the way they behave or approach you or interact with you? You're like, I'm not sure what to expect, so let me just fall back for a minute. And you also people who don't show um, empathy. They have no idea, nor do they care about how things impact you and how you might feel about things. And then, oh, by the way, this whole confidentiality thing. If someone casually shares something with you that someone else thought that they might hold close, right? They just casually share it with you, then know that you're next, right? Know that you're next. So there's 5 ways to know if people are untrustworthy. And then if either one of these or you can identify with it, then know that you can fix this, right? You can do something different. You can do something different. So let's get to the say do gap. That's what we're talking about today. To say what you say and what you do, not being aligned, right? Not being aligned. And we go back to those, well, I don't mean it that way. Okay. So know that you are being watched, right? You are being watched. All of your employees intently listen and they watch their leaders. They watch you. It's just like in your home, your kids are watching you. You don't even know they're watching. Oh my God. Yep. Every little thing you do. So don't be surprised that your employees or your kids and your family, right? They're very sensitive to leaders who declare or promise things and then they don't follow through, right? Or it takes like forever to do it, or they just don't deliver on the promise. Leaders who exhibit this tendency are said to have a large say-do gap. And it's Christmas time, and people are over promising left and right inside of their families. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna get you that. To their kids, to their nieces, to their nephews, to their loved ones, right? And so you got to know that you are being watched, and the results are all about what you do now, right? So there are ways to get better. One of the most important ways we can get better is to know how we operate within our relationships. Talking about self-awareness. So have you ever had an experience where someone says something that they're going to do and they don't do it? Right? I got people right now that owe me $10. Right? I'm gonna pay you back. I got you. Keep the $10. I'm good. That lesson was okay with me, right? So this say do gap has a big impact on your ability to lead your team and also on your team's ability to function well, function efficiently, function effectively. And so you know that. So what is the say do gap? And it's the gap between what you say and what you do. It's pretty simple, isn't it? I didn't create this. I was like thinking about it and I read up one and I'm like, oh, there's actually a definition. I knew this. This is something Anime told me. Anime as in my mama, right? So the greater the gap, right? The greater the gap, the greater the gap, the wider the gap, the less the trust. The less the trust, the longer it takes to do anything. Think about that, right? And the longer it takes to do anything, the more it costs you. So this is it could be emotional, physical, or financial. And so inside of Stephen Covey's book entitled The Speed of Trust, um, he says that everything operates at the speed of trust. That's what Stephen Covey says, right? He says this trust is based on 2 things. One is our competence, and the other one is our character. We're going to get into that right now. Competence and character. That makes sense, right? That makes perfect sense. So character, Stephen Covey in the book, he breaks it down into 2 smaller pieces, talking about integrity. Integrity, right? And that's what we tend to think of when we think of trust. We tend to think of integrity. That comes off. If you think of something else, just drop that in the chat and let me know what it is you might think differently when you think of character, integrity. So you're wondering like, is he a liar, a cheater? Is he trustworthy? We usually look at integrity part of that, and it's pretty clear to us, right? What we mean by that. So we usually stop when we say, "Oh, do I trust?" So we already know we don't, right? Why do I trust or I don't trust? You already know why you don't. You already know in your gut what it is. He's a good guy, but there's something about him. I just don't trust him, right? Yeah, 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 yeah. And so a big piece of that, Covey would say, is the intent, right? We're talking about integrity, intent. Big part of integrity being intent. So you may be a good guy, you may be a good girl, good woman, right? You tell the truth, you never cheat, you never lie, You never steal, but you have a suspect motive. Right? I don't trust him because I think he's just using me, or I think he's trying to, do something so he'll get money from me, right? To get all my money. That's a cheater right there. He's just trying to use me so he can move up the ladder. In your workspace, those relationships, people might be trying to pick your brain, get some things from you, and move up the ladder. I don't know if there's anything wrong with that, quite frankly. But anyway, this is Stephen Covey. So it's hard to identify, but this paradigm, this actually gives you a filter to look at the intent, right? It's in the, well, by the way, if you feel like somebody's using you, already know you're going to step back from that. So character, being integrity, and then looking at the intent from that, right? And Mo, I see you. Respect. Thank you. So intent and integrity. For character, he breaks it down into the smaller pieces. So on the one side, you see character, and the two pieces are in the intent and the integrity. Now you have a good intent, right? You got a good intent. You're not trying to get over in somebody. You're not trying to use them. You're not trying to, come up with some crazy motives. And you can have integrity, but you can still find that you don't trust somebody. Right? You can still find that something in your gut. You don't know what that is. So you want to start looking at competence. Be like, okay, well, yeah, good intent, good integrity, but competence. So he breaks down competence into two pieces: capability and results. So how about that? So character and competence. So when talking about um, capability. Like I trust my 15-year-old neighbor to take care of my two chihuahuas while we're traveling. Um, but if I asked her to do brain surgery, right, we're talking about capability, it probably isn't going to happen. So I don't trust her to do that level of task. No one would say you don't trust her, right? You wouldn't really say you don't trust her, but really this is about competence. So not because she doesn't have integrity or have bad motives, she's just not capable. And we're talking about competence at this point, right? So in your organization or in your family, I might say to my teenager, I don't trust you with the car because not because you're a bad person or because your intent is wrong, but you don't know how to drive in the rain, right? You got some problems with that. So therefore you're not capable. So competence affects your trust. Competence does impact the trust. So again, we're talking about capability and results. And we're still talking about that say and do gap, right? That say and do gap. Sometimes people oversell it, right? They oversell what they can do. So the second piece of competence is results you might have. You may have great intent, you may have great integrity, and you may be totally capable, right? But if you don't bring the results that you need or that you say you can, that affects trust. So, for example, if I could tell my friend I'm going to arrive at 10 minutes after 7, but I actually arrived 10 minutes after 8. After a while, she's going to say, I don't trust you. What she doesn't trust is that I actually do what I say, right? I actually do what I say. That's what she don't trust. And so it doesn't matter that I'm a good person, that I mean well, that I'm capable of arriving, like I said, I was going to arrive, just a little after 7. Obviously, I'm not capable. I can't even say that, but you see, by having a filter like this, it helps you understand our own trust, how we trust ourselves, and then when we either trust or sometimes we don't trust people. We're like, you're always overselling something, man. You're always just talking. You talk too much. Shut your big old mouth, right? So within an organization, within your life, in your family, we can understand the speed of trust. And we do that when we have a better chance of operating um, at less cost and more integrity. That makes sense, right? So on when we talk about character and competence and we break it down like this. I actually found this example on the internet and thought it would be good for you. So that's what I'm sharing, right? So I think that's really good. I want to go really and talk through some examples, a few examples of why it's important for your say do gap to be, small, right? Your say do gap. We want your say do gap to be small, and we want to understand what that might look like, right? So, why is it important? So, really, if you have a narrow say and do gap, that's really a strong indicator of your openness, your honesty, and your integrity. And so we're talking about trust, which is essential for effective leadership, right? So when we actually do what we say we're going to do, that's important. And then if you have a wide gap, then a relationship might start out fine. You might be working with people who they'll say they are committed to doing whatever is necessary to fix any number of problems the company might face, right? You might have accepted a position where you think you're going to go in there and do a lot of good for a lot of people. Then once you start making recommendations and you push them up and share what you've seen, the leaders don't follow through. Was what the worst part of that is they might say that they're working on it, that they hear you, but nothing ever happens, right? So that means that everybody's frustrated, and now you're like, oh crap, I got another job. I want to get out of here. So that's a wide gap, an example. Then a narrow gap would be if you worked in a place where when issues came up, people actually follow through on their promises, right? And they literally will bend over backwards to fix things, right? So that's what I'm asking you to do as the person in the position of authority, is to do what you say you're going to do. And so people ultimately they're going to remember you for what you do. They're going to judge you for what you do. Not how big your smile is and or how persuasive you are, but what you do, what you actually do. And they're only going to listen to you when there is a little to no gap between declaration and action. So I'm saying to you, close your say do gap, and people will sit up upright in their chairs again when you speak, when you show up. That's what they're going to do. They're going to like, oh, hold up, we already know this is going to be good for everybody concerned, right? So some of the things you might want to consider over the next few days. Here we go into Christmas, right? We're headed into this Christmas and also the New Year's. Is just take a look at how many commitments you have out there. The way to track your commitments, by the way, and people who are committing to you saying they're going to do something, have a way to track those also, and then follow through. And I would just encourage you to not overpromise, right? Stop making promises anyway, especially with somebody else's resources, especially with, the time, with your time, just stop it. So I want to close this out by sharing with you that I am, again, the host of the Better You Leadership Podcast, the founder of the Better You Project. And for us, what we're doing is we're on a journey to become better leaders. Ultimately, when you put some of these tips, techniques, and tactics in place, you're going to build your skills and you're going to increase your leadership capability. This podcast teaches women the nuances of personal development with the intent of earning more respect and more revenue. So every week, every Tuesday at noon Eastern time, I'm going to be right here. I'm a proven leader. I'm a proven leader. And so I want to guide you towards being a more trusted leader, right? A more effective leader, someone with results, someone who is not over here overselling, over talking yourself, right? So if you're ready to become a better leader, then schedule a fit session with me. That means see if you and I are fit, a good fit to work together to help you become a more effective leader, right? And so just go to angelaodom.com/leadership capability. And once you go there, you'll get all kind of good information as to how to schedule a time. We'll meet on Zoom and we'll look at a program that I have is a private coaching session, Become a Better Leader in 100 Days. Become a Better Leader in 100 Days. And so that's where we are. Again, make sure that you are listening, subscribing to the podcast. Go on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Go to one of those and make sure you give me like 5 on the ratings, and then write something positive, right? Write something positive. If you're gonna write something crazy, then come back to me directly. If you're gonna write something crazy, cut it out. All right. With that said, imagine today that you are boldly stepping into your leadership role. And that's within your family, that's with your friends in your social circle, that's in your neighborhood, and that's in your workplace, wherever that might be. And oh, by the way, my name is Angela Odom, and I am rooting for you. All right, take care.